So today we're going to talk about something a little different. I know our channel is dedicated to AGRs, but today we want to talk about near-death experiences. And I guess I can make a joke out of that, but I won't. I mean, when we got together, I was at less than half my life expectancy. So, but anyways, I did have one. Tammy has brought out a book, and she's been looking at it, and she wanted to show me one particular part about it, and some other talk about it. So, hi, I'm Paul.
I'm Tammy.
And we're Inseparable. So, you want to talk about the book and what you found in there? And
yeah, I read, this is by Betty Eady. This book is called The Ripple Effect. And she's written a few different books. The first one was Embraced by the Light, in which she explains her near-death experience. She was in the hospital after having surgery and had a near-death experience. And so she wrote a book about it. And then she has a second book, The Awakening Heart, where she explains what it was like after her near-death experience and basically like adjusting back to being, her life after visiting heaven and things like that. And then this book here is The Ripple Effect. So people actually have written her so many letters about her first book and explained how it has helped them, and asked questions about her near-death experience, and maybe she gets into a little more detail about. But basically the ripple effect is when something happens to you in life, how it can affect other people and how you can help other people based on what has happened to you.
And I myself had a NED. No, that's a NED, an NDE when I was 14 years old, and it wasn't in the hospital, wasn't confirmed, but I was shot accidentally by my buddy, and it went 1.5 inches in my chest, and it was pretty serious, but not a mortal wound. And my reaction as a 14-year-old boy was pick myself up and run up the hill to my parents' house, and basically sat in the easy chair and suffocated because my muscles in my chest just all, locked up. And I can't tell you what heaven looks like because I never really got out of my living room. Everything went white. I felt the spiritual presence, and that spiritual presence asking me a question. Do you want to stay or do you want to come? And just so happened my grandfather was visiting. I don't know if he retired yet or not, but he worked second shift, so he could have been there listening anytime. And the light just blasted through the walls and everything, but not through him. And I could see the black silhouette of him, and he was actually in the kitchen with my mother, so you're seeing right through walls and everything. And it spurred the thought in me that, well, it's not my time, or it's not right for me to die now. My grandfather's still a young man, and he was in his late 60s, but he lived another 20 years, so he really was a young man. And as soon as I had that thought, and that's the way you communicate when you're in the spirit, back into pain, back into the real world, white light vanished, and but it really changed my life. Okay.
Well, you had a fear, but we just did the video on agoraphobia, and you're pretty much afraid of everything anyways.
Well, I'm afraid of living, I'm not afraid of dying. But it did really cause a great awakening in me. I lost the fear of death, and a great faith, which I, for many years, communicated that out to people, and it had a ripple effect. I mean, you got saved, friends got saved, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. The one interesting thing you told me about her book was about the empty seats. You want to explain that?
Well, when she had visited heaven and noticed that there were a bunch of seats, and people were sitting in seats, and there were some empty seats, and she said, well, why why are these seats empty? And the answer she got back was, these people chose not to be here.
Right, this isn't that they didn't make it or they weren't good enough for heaven or anything like that that religion teaches. It's that they chose not to make heaven their home. And this is fundamental to my belief. But I believe we're sent here for one purpose, that I believe in pre-existence, which means we exist in heaven as soul and spirit before we're born. We're sent into a human body at the time of conception, and we're born into this world and given free will for the single purpose to make the decision to return. And what happens is evil comes along and tries to convince you that God is evil and that you don't want to go back. And that's why people don't make it. They're fooled by the lie that all the evil and bad things that happen to them, happen in the world, are the fault of a loving God who isn't all that loving after all. It's really nice to hear the descriptions of heaven by people who have full near-death experiences. I mean, I may not have died, but we know of 2 instances where children had near-death experiences where they were in the hospital and they still had a heartbeat, and yet they were able to come back and describe things and give details about things they wouldn't have known about, you know, which is pretty incredible. What's one movie was Heaven's for Real, and then the other one's an actual personal experience that I know about. But you know,
They're in the works of making a movie now too. I just recently saw that online, so that will be kind of cool because she can give her description of what it was like. And the one thing she described mostly was the colors, how vivid the colors in heaven, and you can't compare it to anything on earth. And I think that's really cool. So
yeah. So thanks for watching. Take care. We love you.
bye.
Bye.